My version of health insurance is orange juice and Tiger Balm. Even when my attention is so divided between rapping and writing and activism and surviving, and at any given time, so many of us are new to this. But you ain't gotta stop listening to Ludacris, and you ain't gotta dress a certain way, ride your bike in wintertime, shop at the co-op, or ever turn away from who you really are. This movement doesn't need perfect. It needs us to start working. Radical means you have hope, and sometimes you vote for it, most of the time though you don't. So this is for the ballot, the bullet, the bulletin, and the boycott, for the hand-to-hand and the door-to-door. More and more is growing in popularity. We don't say peace, we say solidarity. We don't say peace, we say. We don't say peace, we say solidarity. We don't say peace, we say solidarity. All right, I'm gonna do a quick piece and we're gonna keep it moving. This is something I just wrote for this. Because I think the biggest criticism of this movement has been, whether New York or here, anywhere, okay, there's all these people together, what does that mean? What does that do, right? And I think a lot of people here know what that answer is, but I think it's worth reasserting a little bit. Thank you. So I teach poetry, right? And when I teach poetry, one of the first things we talk about is the difference between abstract and concrete language. So abstract is something like the word freedom. You all know what the word freedom means, but freedom isn't something you can take a bite out of. You can't smell it, you can't touch it. And the challenge of a poet is to take abstract concepts and make them concrete. So for instance, you don't write a poem about war. You write a poem about your brother's empty bedroom. You don't write a poem about love. You write a poem about a bouquet of flowers in the garbage, or whatever it is. So on the website of this movement, the Minnesota movement, it says this is where the revolution starts, right? So I want to take that word revolution, which I think is such a cliche in a lot of ways, and it's so abstract for so many of us, and talk about, you know, the revolution isn't something that's abstract, right? It's something that has to be concrete. We are going to build a movement that is more than people standing and building with each other, but really can do something. It has to be concrete. So this is kind of a piece about that. The revolution means answering your email. The revolution means going to that meeting even after a brain-melting 8-hour workday. The revolution means child care is available. The meeting space is accessible, and yes, there will be food. The revolution means having an organization that people can find out about and get involved with, a functional website, a plan for recruitment and retention. The revolution means business cards. The revolution means constantly reaching out to people who aren't the usual suspects, creating allies and not just leveraging them. It means having a media strategy, because being right is not enough. The revolution means understanding that voting does make a difference, but that voting alone will never change anything. It means understanding that a victory for immigrant rights is a victory for the LGBTQ movement, is a victory for the anti-police brutality movement, and so on. That environmental activism, anti-racist organizing, the movement for public education, and every other progressive movement that's represented here today are all the same movement. And that doesn't mean that every campaign or event has to address or try to solve every problem, but it does mean that we need to listen to each other. We need to support one another, no matter what community we come from. The revolution means talking about social justice concepts like a human being. No jargon. No looking down on people who don't speak the language, who never got to take college sociology classes, who aren't the right kind of socialists, who have never had anyone talk to them about privilege and oppression, who make mistakes. The revolution means making mistakes. But the revolution, I've never said the word revolution so much in my life. But the revolution also means cultivating awareness. Is everyone in your organization white? Why is that? Do the men speak up more than the women? Why is that? Sorry. Is not having any formal hierarchy just open up a space for informal hierarchy? Is talking about an occupation while we all stand on occupied land problematic? Is this a winnable fight? If so, what do we have to do? If not, what should we be doing instead? The revolution means asking difficult questions. The revolution is about the process and the product, not one or the other. A campaign that wins at the cost of alienating specific populations or trampling over the ideas or needs of one part of the coalition does not create sustainable change. On the flip side, a perfectly organized event that makes everyone feel empowered and valued but does not lead to concrete action also does not create sustainable change. The revolution is about understanding that sustainable change is not an abstract concept. It means food on the table. It means being able to afford the right medicine. It means having a notebook to write on in class. It means not being kicked out of your home. It means our lives. We are not here today to win some debate. We are not here today to feel good about ourselves. 1,000 people in the People's Plaza is not the end goal. 1,000,000 people in the People's Plaza is not the end goal. The revolution is not just us. It's the people who aren't here. The people who don't live in the metro. The people who don't feel safe around the police. It's the people who don't self-identify as activists. It's the people who are at work right now. It's all of us. We are here. We are here, whether physically or in spirit, to work. We are here to build something together. We are not just here to speak out or raise our voices, but to concretely make our community, local, national, and international, a more just and humane place by coming up with ideas and then executing those ideas. That's what organizing is. That's what the revolution means. Never forget that. Never forget who you are, and never forget why we are here.